Welcome back, everyone, to the Talk Show with Vic. I'm joined today on episode number 19 with one of my first guests of 2022, Brett Miller.
Hey, Vic, how are you today?
Man, I'm good. I'm pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Excited and honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Of course. I definitely appreciate you for coming on, and like I said, being one of my first guests of the year. It's going to be an exciting year here at the Chill Zone, man. I'm really excited. But yeah, man. If you want to go ahead and introduce like who you are, like what do you like who you are, what do you do for a living, maybe a fun fact about yourself, something like that.
Sure, yeah. My name is Brett Miller. I'm a physical therapist and an adaptive training coach. I happen to be blessed enough to be the founder of 110 Fitness in Rockland, Massachusetts, which happens to be the largest wellness center in the world for people with Parkinson's disease. We are an all-inclusive wellness center that engages anybody who has any ability or disability,
Okay.
and we offer programming to all of those folks who come through our doors.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about 110 Fitness because I mean I didn't really know too much about it, but I'm definitely really eager for sure. But yeah, man, let's get into the reason why we're all here though. So, like you said, you already talked about 110 Fitness. We're gonna talk about also like the relation with Parkinson's disease and the military correlation with all this. So first off, what is 110 Fitness?
Sure. Well, like I said, 110 Fitness is a giant wellness center here in Rockland, Massachusetts. Our mission here is to leave no one behind and to bring people back to life. So that's our mission. It's very similar to the military, and a lot of my military experience translates into my business here at 110 Fitness. Our whole concept and our whole platform is delivering fitness programming for anybody. So whether you are a wounded warrior who has an amputated leg, or you're somebody with Parkinson's disease who's struggling, or if you're somebody who just wants to be a better version of themselves in the fitness industry, we have something here for you. We kind of pride ourselves on being a 360 global support system, though,
Mm,
primarily for people with Parkinson's disease. So not only do we have programming that's designed for the people that come here to exercise, but we also have programming for caregivers and spouses through support groups and through different programs that we offer, so that it's, like I said, it's more of a global support,
mm-hmm.
something that we're trying to incorporate all the different aspects of people's disabilities so that they have that support, not only here in our facility, but also outside in the community.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty awesome too. So do you guys like help out with like mental health issues as well, as long as the with the medical, like the regular like physical issues?
Yes. So, one of the things that is really important to me, and I'm trying to spread this across the country, is that, you know, ethical, I'm going to focus on Parkinson's because that's really our focus, but,
Mhm.
ethical Parkinson's wellness programs are key.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, all the programs that are happening across the country really don't follow the exact same patterns, and they really should. And what it will help us do eventually, and we will get there, is that we may find a way to get reimbursement through insurance if we can streamline all the wellness centers. So, when I established 110 Fitness, it was important for me to really follow the research-based evidence. All of our programming here is research-based. We don't perform it unless it has documentation and research behind it that says, if you have Parkinson's disease, this will help you. And what we did, meaning all of us that are involved here, is I designed what we call a medical advisory board. So I have people from all over the country that are in different disciplines. In regards to the mental health program, I have a neuropsychiatrist who's on our medical advisory board. We have somebody from the tech industry who follows and helps us with IT and marketing design. Then we have people who are physicians or movement disorder specialists or neurologists. And we have people in all those different disciplines that oversee our programming. I'm obviously on the board myself. And so we try to have somebody on the medical advisory board to address the mental, spiritual, and physical aspects of everybody.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool because I have two issues. Me personally, like I deal with a physical issue with my charcot tooth. It's a neurological disease, so like I have like limitations with my legs, and that
Mm-hmm.
slowly progresses with my nerves and stuff. And then I also have dealt with anxiety, but I do know that going to the gym definitely helps out with that. But finding ways like we're going to dig into it a little bit more about being able to be distracted and like having fun and getting your mind off of all the negative things that you may seem overwhelmed with. It's definitely a good outlet with the gym.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Shaka Marie, but you know, what would happen is if you walked into our wellness center, you would obviously be greeted by myself or somebody who works here, and let us know the adaptive needs that you might need. Say you want to exercise, but you have this neurological issue, Charcot-Marie in your case, or anxiety in your case. So what we do is we do thorough evaluations. We have like a 9-page questionnaire that all people fill out so that we can really dovetail a program that will work for you and a way to be adaptive to work around whether it's anxiety or in your case, Charcot-Marie, that would optimize your performance
Hmm.
and still give you the ability to participate in our wellness center.
Okay. Yeah, heck, I'm pretty interested in that because I always feel like I need some guidance and stuff like that because my body works a different way where it'll take me 2 to 3 times harder or longer to exercise to gain the same amount of muscle or whatever I'm trying to do as like a normal person without any issues. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
interested in finding out more about this for sure. But in regards to the history of the company, when did 110 Fitness become a thing?
So in this particular facility that I'm in, we're 4 years young this January 3rd. But I had started a small boxing program for people with Parkinson's disease a year before
Okay.
the founding of 110 Fitness. So technically 5 years, but 4 years here in this facility. And in that 4 years, like I said, we've become the largest wellness center in the world for people with Parkinson's disease. We're now doing programming for disabled vets, disabled youth. We do programming for women who've been affected by domestic violence. We do programming, like I said, just for the general population who want to get fit. So we've really been able to encompass a lot of different abilities and disabilities in that very short period of time.
Okay. And what were some of your motives or reasoning for starting up one the boxing first part of it and then turning it into 110 Fitness?
So this is an interesting story. And when we get to talking about my book, the stories in my book, because everybody always asks me is why Parkinson's and how did you sort of land here? And really my book, which is a memoir, talks really what brought me here. But I was working in professional boxing. I was training professional fighters, and I was also doing personal training and home physical therapy for people with Parkinson's disease. And I was actually using boxing as a means of treatment, not knowing that the research was coming out. I had no idea that there was any sort of involvement with boxing and Parkinson's disease. And way back when, in about, I think it was 2016, 60 Minutes had a special, and the reporter was talking about her husband who had Parkinson's disease, and he was using boxing at a local fitness facility in Brooklyn, New York, and that it was tremendously helping him with his Parkinson's disease in regards to mitigating his symptoms. And so ironically, that next day, I did not watch the 60 Minutes until after the fact on YouTube. But prior to that, I had 4 people the next day come to me and say, listen, my dad, my mom, my brother has Parkinson's. We know that you do the boxing and we know you're into exercise. We need your help. Did you see the 60 Minutes episode? You got to start a program like this. And so I dove into that and started looking at it. And it was sort of the perfect collision or the perfect storm, if you will, for me. Here I was a licensed physical therapist, already treating people with Parkinson's disease. I was working in the fitness industry, and I had my boxing background as well. And so, I started a small program in a fitness facility. I had 2 people show up the first day, and within a month, there were 40 people standing in front of me and all their caregivers in the back looking for a support group. And so, shortly after a year in that facility, that was when this serendipitously happened that this space was available, and we moved. We kind of jumped off the cliff and said, "We hope it works." And with all of the amazing volunteers that are in our program, and myself and some other friends, we built this place and opened the doors, and we've had nothing but just wonderful things happen for us.
That's crazy how everything just comes together and just works in life, man. Where like you do this, you do that, you do this, and next thing you know,
Yeah.
it all comes together as one, and that's just phenomenal. So you said being one of the biggest gyms in regards to Parkinson's around the globe. And when you're saying that you have like gyms all over and stuff like that, or is this just like you hold events all over? Like how's that go?
So we're one facility in Rockland, Massachusetts. we're at the part, sort of the point right now where people are reaching out to us from across the country, asking us if we'd like to establish 110 fitnesses in other parts of the country, which had always been my goal, anyways, with that whole theme of trying to get ethical wellness centers throughout the United States. So we're working with some folks in New York City. We're looking at maybe possibly doing something in the spring this year of a collaboration with a 110 Fitness being in New York City in Times Square. We're also talking with some folks out in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're also looking at Boston. So I'm about 25 miles from Boston, but we have a large population of people that drive all the way here 4 or 5 times a week to come to our programming from Boston. And if anybody out there is from Boston, you understand the traffic issues here. So if you make a commitment to come to 110 Fitness for an hour, it's a 3.5 hour journey between the drive here and the drive back. So we're trying to satisfy that community. We know that there's much more people within Greater Boston that need our services. So we're hoping to establish a Boston location sooner than later.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely be really excited if you got one here in Central PA or even out in Philly. That'd be nice. A little bit more localized for me because I'm from Harrisburg.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because driving
You
up to
never know.
Boston is a little bit of a ways for me.
Yeah, you never know though. You
Right.
know, yeah, you really don't know.
Right. So you mentioned about like some of your goals and stuff like that already, but are there any what are some other goals that you have with 110 Fitness?
Well, the biggest goal we just talked about, and that is, sharing our platform. I have a very specialized exercise platform that I have invented and designed and implement. And I have research evidence showing why it works and how it helps people with Parkinson's. And people always say to me, well, how do you know it works? And I say, because I have the data. But there's also, pre-pandemic, there were 200 people with Parkinson's disease coming through my doors in 1 week. So if that's not evidence enough that the way that we implement our program, we all know through research that high intensity exercise decreases the symptoms of Parkinson's disease.
Hmm.
Every person with Parkinson's knows that, and they're tired of seeing the research that states that. But the difference with 110 Fitness is we take the high intensity exercise, and it's the way that it's delivered, and it's the way that we implement it on our fitness platform that makes the entire difference for all these folks that come through our doors. So my goal is to take that platform and to share it and to develop, like I said, 110 Fitnesses across the country so that we can streamline the implementation. And so the people in the nooks and crannies of Arkansas or Alaska or other places have the ability to access what we have here in Massachusetts. The other thing that we did that we're still really in the early stages of is I developed the first ever Parkinson's wellness app during COVID. As soon as we were shut down, we were closed for 4 months during COVID. We needed to find a way to continue to service and offer movement programs for our folks with Parkinson's because it's debilitating. Not only the mental warfare, but the physical piece of it is crushing when you can't move. And so I probably made like 110 videos during the 4 months we were
Hmm.
closed, and we offered that free through YouTube for an entire year during COVID.
Oh wow.
And then I developed it into an app. So we now sell that app. It's a standard app that you can find on Google Play or on your Apple store. And we have tried to make it so affordable that no one can't have access to it. So
Hmm.
it's $19.99, unlimited for a month. At this point, I think I've created about 285 videos in 19 categories that are all Parkinson's focused, including an educational category that has all of our guest speakers and our educational series and symposiums recorded and on there. So the goal for the app is to really blow it out to the world. We have people in, I think we're 10 different countries across the world who are using our app, but we want to get that out to everybody. So that's a really big goal for us, as well as that whole, everything's gone digital. So that whole digital piece of getting it to people who are 3 to 4 hours from a gym or 3 to 4 hours from their doctor. There's people all over the country that are struggling with getting to where they need to get. And this is, drop of the hat. If you have a laptop or an iPad or a phone, you can pull 110 Fitness app up and go to a category and do a yoga class, for $19.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Talk about opportune time. There is perfect because when COVID hit, gym shut down, everything shut down, and you're inside, but people still like to exercise. Excuse me, and they couldn't go to the gym, and obviously, so that was perfect too. And it's crazy to see like a lot of companies are doing this. Like look at Apple. Apple created their own fit. They have their own fitness app where they have workouts and videos and stuff like that that people can access wherever they want, whether it be the watch or
Yes.
phone and stuff like that. And you're basically doing the same thing, but yours is more focused, more streamlined to a particular um, category in regards to that. So that's pretty cool because some, like you said, some people can't have access to the gym, and COVID's still going on. So having that virtual, being able to do it at home or in small groups where you don't have to really worry about COVID, is huge, honestly. And then, like you said, you're getting around some multiple countries. That's phenomenal to be able to reach that many people. How did people in other countries hear about it or find out? You had no people over there to get it to, and then they spread it.
No, so when I was offering it free through YouTube for a year, we had people who were just tapping into it. We were getting notes from people like in Bolivia, Greece, and different countries thanking us for having the videos available during COVID. So it just organically kind of happened, and we obviously hashtag everything, and we try
Hmm.
to make sure that we use the right titles and tags and social media pieces to push all that information out.
Right.
So again, like I said, it happened organically for us. Again, and it was free at that time. So people were just taking advantage of that because I think when COVID initially happened, people were very scared, and rightfully so.
Hmm.
So no one was leaving their home. But when you have Parkinson's disease, you still got to move or you'll be
Right.
crippled. So,
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't imagine having Parkinson's. Like having charcomery tooth is already enough for me, for sure. But
mm-hmm.
so I know I know you host like events and stuff like that. Do you have any like new events coming up in regards to 110 Fitness at all?
Yeah, so we just hosted a huge holiday concert. So we had music accompaniments. We had a 24, I think, Parkinson's folks who we drummed and choreographed four different songs. We do drumming here a lot. And we also sang a rendition of the 12 Days of Parkinson's that I wrote. And so we just hosted that. We hosted it live and we hosted it live streamed. So we had about 70 people here in our facility who came. And then we had about 300 people across the world watching our holiday concert through one of the foundations. We used it as a fundraiser for them.
Hmm.
So that's we're just coming off that event, and in November we took about 23 people through the Fenway Spartan Race. So that is, if you're familiar with the outdoor adventure racing, Spartan offers
Hmm.
it's like a 5K 3 mile adventure race.
Hmm.
We host a training program here for 8 weeks, and then we take all of our folks with Parkinson's, and we all go as a team, and we do all the obstacles together. So that was the last one. Let's see. Coming up soon, we have a couple different things that we're doing. The Parkinson's Revolution is coming up, which is a cycling event, and then we'll start to roll into it. In the spring, there's Moving Day, and there's some other events that occur through the Parkinson's world that we participate in. There'll be all kinds of 5Ks and things of that nature through the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Um, it was a busy year for us, even though we had COVID. I ran the Boston Marathon with somebody with Parkinson's, and I also ran a 10 miler, the Cherry Blossom Race virtually with somebody with Parkinson's. So we're always doing something, and we're always very busy here on a monthly basis. Anyways, we have a choir. We go bowling every month. When the weather's good, we go golfing every month. We go axe throwing,
Okay,
and
yeah, that's a new
yeah,
craze right now.
we go rock climbing at one of the indoor rock climbing gyms. So we have art workshops every single month as well. So we're always doing something outside in the community,
Hmm.
and all doing events all the time. So we're we're hopping and bopping all the time. It's a
Right.
busy place.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it, man. It sounds exciting. It's always cool to do other things other than like exercise. It's like a lot of team building, a lot of just having fun and enjoying everything in life, honestly. So that's pretty cool to hear.
Yeah.
Especially with the whole
Well,
extra and that, like that's big right now. I don't know why or how, but that came out of nowhere and was like, they're all over the place.
which is this?
The axe throwing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Axe throwing has got real big. We have a local axe throwing place here, and they're super supportive of our programming, and so it just again, we just kind of developed a relationship, and it's been been fantastic. So.
Hmm. And then you mentioned about like the Spartan races. One of my friends, one of my good friends, Sean, who I actually had on this show a while back, he does the Spartan races and stuff like that now, and I just he posts videos of his workouts and his and whatnot. What he does, he's a chef, so he does like meal prepping and makes food for people and whatnot. And I see all the time and effort he puts in. I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. Like that's some hard work and some dedication to be able to do
Mhm.
stuff like that. But that to be able to have that drive and motivation is key to being able to do
Yeah,
those.
well, you know, these folks don't have a choice. And, when they walk through our doors, they're pretty broken and beaten down by the time they come across the threshold. And to be able to say to them, listen, this is what we do, and this is something that you can do. And we set the standard, like I said, we're the model for the world. We
Hmm.
don't, we don't, we hold all of our folks to a very high standard. In other words, the workouts that people are doing at intensities that most people think are very high, our folks are doing that,
Hmm.
and when after they're here for a while, when they're doubted, they dig their heels in and work harder. We worship execution here, and
Hmm.
these folks execute. They also understand that the future's on their back. But one of the things that's different here, and I think most people can understand this, is I preach about how it's a whole nother level when you're doing something for yourself, or if you're doing it for your family or for someone that you love. And these people are doing it for their families, and they
Hmm.
know that the work that they're putting in here, when they leave and go back to their families, and they're not sitting there shaking trying to serve dinner to their kids, and they're getting to their jobs and they're able to function, like that's like the meat and potatoes, and that's why they keep showing up. They know the future's on their back. They know the reason why they're here. And I call us the special operations of Parkinson's, because that's what we are. And I always tell these folks, run into the gunfire. Don't run that way. Run into the gunfire and get busy. And it works.
Yeah, your family could definitely be a big motivation, and just having that self-image too, like you saying, they don't want to be shaken, and they just want to be look like they're normal and they're
Mm-hmm.
strong-willed and whatnot. So I could definitely see where that motivation comes from. But another thing I wanted to cover here was what's the military correlation with all this? I know you mentioned that you were in the military, but how does this all correlate together?
Yeah, well, 110 Fitness is named after the team of six men that I was with when I was in the Army. And, 110 we used as a verb, and we also use it as a nickname. So, we used to say, like, hey, could you 110 that? Or, hey, 110, come here, could you do this for me? But basically, it was a term that we used that was better than the best, right? So 110 that. In other words, do that with such precision and mindfulness that it's better than the best.
Hmm.
So paying attention to detail.
Okay.
And so that's sort of where 110 Fitness, the name 110 came from. And, again, our whole focus, and you'll see it in our logo, is, it's right behind me here. It says be fit, be mindful, be well. So we look at spiritual, physical, mental. It's the whole
Hmm.
picture, right? Be 110 all the way around. So that's our whole focus here. So that's the military piece. Like I said, we do a lot of programming here for disabled veterans.
Hmm.
So every week we have a group of veterans that come in. It's different people at different times. A lot of times they have mental issues or PTSD or anxiety, and then we might have people come in with physical ailments or physical limitations, amputations.
Right.
A history of sickness, or we have a lot of people who've been exposed to different chemicals and environmental issues that have caused Parkinsonian-like or neurological deficits. So we do programming for them. We're involved here with the Hives for Heroes program.
Hmm.
So I'm a beekeeper, and there's your fun fact. Through the art of beekeeping, we mentor veterans, and we use the art of beekeeping to help with suicide prevention and education. And then the other thing also that we do here is we're involved in the Till Valhalla project, which a lot of people know about, which is another program that was founded by a Marine who had lost a lot of soldiers on his team in multiple firefights, I believe, in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so he has a veteran owned and run business where they make memorial plaques for families.
Hmm.
And so, part of our service here is I present plaques to people who have either lost their battle with the demons or who have committed suicide post service in the military. And we present their families with memorial plaques that are made. They're beautiful, and so there's a lot of involvement here
Mm-hmm.
that has ties to and from my military service. And we have a lot of people here with Parkinson's disease that have military backgrounds. That are veterans. There's about, I think that 10% of the people in the world are veterans with Parkinson's disease, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but it puts it in the a very, very high amount of people. I think it's about $350 million that's spent annually on caring for veterans with Parkinson's disease in the United States. So
Jeez.
it's a huge chunk of money.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of people who come to our doors who are veterans, and they love the structure that we offer because like I said, I run my programming with a very military design. It's very structured. Everything has its place. We pay attention to detail, all that stuff. So that's kind of how it all kind of folded into
Right.
into
Right.
110 Fitness.
No, yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's so crazy how you can take the small details, and that's how you get the name of 110 Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool how that stuff comes about for sure. But yeah, man, you got any last thoughts, comments, or advice in regards to 110 Fitness, military correlation, or even Parkinson's at all before we move on to the next
Well,
segment?
you know, it, we're extremely involved in the research here, and the one thing I like to always say, if you're out there and you have Parkinson's, you're not alone. And it's extremely important that I have something that I say it's early and often. And what that means is if you've been recently diagnosed with Parkinson's, the earlier you get involved in an ethical wellness center that's run by credentialed, licensed professionals like myself who are running programming like 110 Fitness, you can have an extremely great quality of life, and you can live a very beautiful life with Parkinson's disease. So, if you're out there and you know somebody, most everybody, we consider Parkinson's as the new pandemic because there was a 60% increase in white males just last year with Parkinson's disease. And we're finding that the numbers that we originally thought were going to be the numbers in 2040, they have doubled since that time.
Jeez.
So it's crazy. So most people out there know somebody with Parkinson's or know somebody who's struggling or they themselves are struggling with Parkinson's. So if you're out there and you're one of those people, you can reach out to me. You can email me at bmiller@110fitness.org. Or you can, I can help you find a place to go. There are other people like yourself that are looking for a community like 110 Fitness has.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, you can have a quality life with Parkinson's disease. It's very, very doable. And there is hope in the future. With the work that I do with the Davis Finney Foundation and the Michael J. Fox Foundation, there is hope coming down the pike with the research with genetic crisping and genetic editing and the things that we're doing with finding, the genes that may be able to be stopped or edited prior to going to your brain and causing Parkinson's disease. We're hot on the trail. And so the future is very bright.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's so awesome to hear about all that with 110 and with Parkinson's and whatnot. But let's dive into our next segment. You already touched on it a little bit, but we're going to talk about a little bit about your book. First off, what is your book called?
Yeah, my book, I brought a copy. It's called "It's a Beautiful Day to Save Lives: A Medic's Journey to His Destiny."
Okay. And what is your book mainly about? Like, what all do you cover?
Yeah, so it's a memoir of my entire life, from when I was about 6 years old up until now. The crafting of 110 Fitness is in it, and also it is a series of chapters and stories that kind of take a full circle, and most of the chapters are I don't like to give away all the surprises
No, yeah,
because
for
I'd
sure.
rather read my book, but all the chapters involve a situation which has been offered to me, where I was needed to help somebody struggling for their life. And
Okay.
so the book starts out when I was young and talks about the situations that I was involved in up until I was in the military and some of my military situations, and then diving into my own personal uh, issues where my life needed to be saved.
Mhm.
and what it took for me to help my own self and the work that I had to put in to save myself, and then my rise to then recognizing the fact that I need to offer the rest of my life to the service of others because grace was given to me, and how I have pretty much dedicated the rest of my life to doing that. And then at the end, it takes a full circle from the previous chapters of me actually meeting somebody, ironically in Pennsylvania. Um, what that universal sort of, you said it's funny how things all come together. Well, I don't think it's funny. I think it's actually purposeful.
Yeah.
And, the theme of my memoir is that greatness is upon all of you out there, and that you need to understand that you are gifted with something. I don't know what that gift is, but you know what that gift is if you are quiet and you take the time to recognize that, or if you help somebody, you will figure out what your gift is. And consequently, what I ask in my book is that you act upon the gift that you're given to help your community and consequently make the world a better place to live.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely eager to pick up the book for sure. I actually didn't know about it until Carrie mentioned it, and then you were also talking about it too, and I was just like, man, this seems like pretty cool because I thought about writing plenty of books, and it's just like I feel like I just don't have the motivation to dedicate all that time to writing a book yet. But I know that that's one of my personal goals. But when did you start writing the book, and like tell me about the creative process in
Yeah.
regards to it?
So, just to pivot back to what you said, you said the motivation to write a book. It's a ton of work.
Yeah, it sure
Uh,
is.
I've already started my second book, and it's a lot easier for me to process all that I'm putting on paper because of my
Hmm.
experience. Um, I have always wanted to write a book. My issue was I never had the time to sit down and actually engage my, hand to paper. When COVID happened, it was the first time that I was able to actually come to work. I used to come here and make videos all day, but I would go home at like 3, which was rare for me, right? And every night I started putting the chapters. I had the book written in my head. I just needed to get it on paper. And when COVID struck, it was like every night I could get home and I would recite my book, and write it on my cell phone.
Okay.
I would I would talk to, and it would, talk
Hmm.
to text, and I would just write in my notes sections chapter, like one chapter every night.
Oh
It
wow.
took me about 7 months to pretty much complete the book. And then the hard part happens. And, the hard part is this. I have a few friends who are authors. I talked to them after I'd finished my book, and they said the greatest part about writing a book is writing the book because the publishers are so tough. And when you write a book, you have to then send multiple, what we call queries to other publishers and ask them if they want to be an agent for your book or
Hmm.
if they're interested in publishing your book. And most people don't get picked up for 3 to 5 years. Most people never get picked up. It's very hard unless you're already an established, New York Times bestseller, or
Hmm.
you're famous, or you're the president and somebody wrote a book for you, and then
Right.
the publishers want to sell that, right? Because it's all about money for them. So I was very lucky to find somebody who wanted to publish my book. And the hardest part about that is you have multiple editors involved. So I wrote my book and I gave my rough draft manuscript to 4 editors.
Hmm.
Some are for grammar, others are for content, some are for this, some are for that. But a lot of times they want to change the style and the story of your book to make it more sellable. And I didn't want to do that,
Right.
because my book is my book is my book, and I wanted my story to be true, and not, glorified or anything like that. And so I opted to self-publish, and so I found a publishing company that would help me self-publish my own book, and
Hmm.
that way I could keep all of my stuff the way I wanted to keep it. I still had multiple editors to help me, and so the full process took about 13 months, so a little over a year
Okay.
of going back and editing and editing and editing. And moving chapters around and changing some of my verbiage and making sure that I had permission to print X and permission to print this. And, I had to reach out to other people if I wanted to use pictures,
Hmm.
things like that. So I had to call AP and make sure that I could use a picture that they had. And you have to pay for some of the rights for photos and things like that. So it's a major piece of work. But man, when it's done, it's just, when something like this shows up in its final stages and you get to read your own book, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. What was your favorite part of the journey? Like, I know you mentioned like the best part was obviously writing it, but what about writing it made it one of your favorite
Yeah.
parts?
So this is an amazing question, and no one typically asks me that. So for me, because it was a memoir, it's not, it wasn't something that, was fiction or, a murder mystery or a love novel or anything like that. So this is my life, right? I put my life on paper. So for me, the journey of writing this
Hmm.
was incredibly therapeutic for me
Okay.
to be able to sit down and write about my life. And a lot of the middle of my book is pretty dark, and it was a dark time for me in my life when I was struggling to exist. And so being able to go back to those feelings again, when I got out of the service and started a family and was married, my life kind of collapsed. I think I had a lot of stuff that I never really processed, and so I spent 2 years in therapy, and I had worked through a lot of my anxiety, my PTSD, and my
Hmm.
stuff, and then I went about my business, right, and carried on about my life. But then it all was came back when I wrote my book, so it was like almost diving back into those feelings again. And so for me, the process of writing my book was the best part of it, because I was able to actually manually put the the smells and the tastes and the sounds and the sensations that I had on paper
Hmm.
from previous experiences. So the actual writing of my book was the awesome for me.
Right. And I definitely can kind of tell where you're coming from because I mentioned how I had anxiety, and one of my solutions to that with handling it was just journaling. And I just
Mm.
found that just writing and just putting my thoughts on paper just helped me just relax and just get it out and just move on about my day. And then so I can definitely relate into that. So that's pretty awesome to hear. But when was your book published? When was it officially out
So
there to everybody?
yeah, so last May, my book was finally published, and I'm still involved in. Actually have a book signing in 2 weeks, so I'm still doing book signings and
Hmm.
I'm doing speaking engagements talking about my book. So it's been pretty awesome. It's been since May. It's almost been a full year for me to get my book out to the public. I've sold a ton of copies, which has been great. And I've been able to autograph a lot of copies for a lot of people at my book signings and such. So it's been nice. I take the time to write notes to people, so I write more than just my name, and that's been incredibly satisfying for me, especially for friends who come to buy my book, and to
Hmm.
be able to write something kind to them and give them my story,
Right.
because people don't know your story, right? You
Right.
know, so this is a very vulnerable, thing to do, and it's like I said, it's been quite a journey. Even though it's not been a year, it's just been awesome. So
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned the word vulnerable. I'm reading a book, Dare to Lead, right now by Brene Brown, and she
ah,
she just
yes,
she just talks about vulnerability all the time and how important it is, and we always tend to shy away from it, and instead we gotta battle and rumble with it and deal with it and learn to overcome certain aspects of it. And I think that it's been one of my favorite books. I'm not done with it yet. It's just hoping to finish it by the end of this month, but I struggle with reading like a lot at one time,
yeah,
so I just try to space it out as I can. But I've been
yeah,
really enjoying that book.
yeah. She's amazing. I actually, she's quoted in my book.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome, man.
yeah,
I'm signed up.
yeah. I actually, I was actually supposed to do her podcast last year, and they just got overbooked, and so we've been working with her agent in the hopes that I can get on the Brene Brown podcast this year.
Oh,
So to talk
that's
to
awesome.
talk about my book. So
yeah, that's definitely a big one there. She's been a lot of her books have been really phenomenal, and I just picked up or just got her recent one for Christmas. It was like the Atlas of something. I forget exactly what it's called, but I just got it. It's my next one I'm gonna read, hopefully.
yeah,
But
she's incredible.
and I love how like she creates that website that's engaging and helps you work through it, and like you can work as a team with other people. Like this is it's like a very team oriented like book, but you can read this and do it all individually as well, which is awesome.
Right. Yeah, she's a force for sure.
But back to your book, where can people pick your book up at? Like what
Sure.
retailers or online?
Yeah, well, if you, again, if you're not in Pennsylvania and you live here, I have multiple copies here at 110 Fitness. People drop in and ask to buy my book, which is awesome. But it's available on Amazon. You can purchase it on Amazon. It's a beautiful day to save lives. Or if you just type in my name, Brett Miller, it should pop up. There's a hard copy and a soft cover copy that you can choose from. I have a website. It's a beautiful day to save lives.com. So you can
Okay.
actually go right on my website and you can purchase the book or make comments or talk about my book. And there's excerpts in there that you can read if you're unsure whether or not you want to purchase the book. So you can go directly to the website and buy the book. So.
Okay. Yeah, that hopefully with my next check, that's my next investment is to buy one of your books and read it soon, for sure. But yeah, I mean, you got any last comments, advice, or anything in regards to your book or the writing process to those who want to write a book?
Yeah, if you want to write a book, do it, is really what it comes down to. Take the time, buckle up, and go for the ride. It's an amazing journey. And, you know, if you're writing a memoir, don't be afraid. Dare to be vulnerable and put it out there because I'm going to tell you, I can't even explain to you how many people have come to me after reading my book and saying your book helped me so much. And so my goal with my book is to get it into as many hands as possible. And my sort of last words for anybody that I see who buys my book and I autograph it, I say, make sure that when you're done that you share it with somebody that you know or who may be in the struggle,
Hmm.
and then ask them to share it. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that I'm gonna definitely do that for sure. Um, yeah, man. So yeah, that's really cool to hear about your book. Like I said, I'm planning to pick it up as soon as possible. But let's get into our last segment here. This is kind of touching on coming back on 110 Fitness, but also giving a sneak peek of a potential future episode with me and you later on. But the future 110 Fitness. What are your future plans and goals for 110 Fitness going forward?
well, like we talked about, the goal here is to try to reach out into our community. We know for a fact that there's a lot of people that are hiding in their homes, isolated, or don't even know that 110 Fitness exists.
Hmm.
And there's also a lot of people, as you can understand, who are diagnosed with Parkinson's disease who may be young with families and they're afraid to come out in the public. Um,
Hmm.
for privacy reasons, they may be surgeons, they may be firemen, they may be policemen or attorneys or doctors or people in the community that are, viewed a lot, whether they're politicians and things like that. We want to get the word out that 110 Fitness is a very safe place to be, and that we respect all people's privacy here. And our goal is to find those people and to bring them into our community. The other goal, as I talked about as well, is really trying to deliver to the country ethical wellness standards for Parkinson's people, and you know, getting that platform out so that it's streamlined. We're working very, very diligently with the insurance companies and with the federal government, HHS or Health and Human Services down in Washington, D.C., on streamlining care for Parkinson's wellness so that we can get reimbursement through insurance. So that's a big goal for 2022. Luckily enough, we just passed the Massachusetts Registry for Parkinson's disease, and I'm very honored. I was chosen to be on the committee, the advisory committee, to serve for the Massachusetts Parkinson's Registry. So what that does is it gives us the ability to collect all kinds of data. And so, again, another goal for us is to pull more data from Massachusetts, from the people. We think there's about 25,000 people with Parkinson's disease in the state of Massachusetts.
Hmm.
But pulling that data together, doing some research, and then Um, Again, finding ways to then implement programming to help these folks out. And again, from an insurance perspective, because programming is very expensive, right?
Right.
For these people, a lot of them are on fixed incomes and such. So being able to find, even if it was, you got $25 per visit or something like that, anything that from the reimbursement side of the fence, I think would be a godsend for these folks. So
Definitely.
those are some of the things we're focusing on. We're constantly evolving and constantly growing. And so, things will just happen for us.
Right, for sure. So you mentioned about getting it out there. How do you guys get it out there now? Like how do you guys advertise or any of that?
Yeah, so we're a word of mouth primarily, but obviously we use our social media. We're 110 Fitness on Facebook. We're at 110 Fitness MA on Instagram. I have my own personal Instagram accounts, and I have my own Facebook accounts where I share things about what we're doing here at 110 Fitness.
Mhm.
So, and then we have our distribution email list, which goes out to all our app users and all the people
Mhm.
across the world who are involved. So we do what we call a weekly grind. So it's an email every Monday that goes out first thing Monday morning that has any research projects that people can get involved in, if there's any extra new resources that people can get, all the things that are going on here at 110 Fitness, the events, what we're doing for the year, that kind of stuff. So that's how we kind of push all our information out.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully you can get onto like some maybe TV ads or radios or anything like that. That'd be pretty cool to see on.
Yeah, we've done some TV segments. I did just do a couple radio interviews for WBZ, which is one of the big Boston stations, and then a local station here as well. I do a program called Veterans Voice, which is a radio program for veterans.
Mhm.
And then the WBZ Boston, I did a really big podcast and interview with them talking about 110 Fitness. So we're getting out there slowly but
Mhm.
surely.
Has the because I know you do the with the involvement at the Red Sox and with Fenway Park. Does Boston the Red Sox help you out at all with getting any advertisement out there or thought about
So
it at
the
least?
Yeah, so we do what's called the Run to Home Base, which is a 5K race that I do with some folks from that have Parkinson's disease, and so that program is in conjunction with one of the centers of excellence for Parkinson's disease called Massachusetts General Hospital. It's probably in the top three hospitals in the country.
Mhm.
But in any event, they offer a program to veterans that is a transitional program. So as soon as you get out of the service, they do anything and everything that you need from any type of mental issues or family issues or financial issues or medical care. It's free for a certain period of time, and it's called the Run to Home Base.
Okay.
The Red Sox are tied into that.
Mhm.
You actually finish the race on home plate on Fenway.
That's
So it's
dope.
cool. You cross the finish line right on a home plate. It's neat. But the Red Sox is they do a lot of work for more oncology. They have what's called the Jimmy Fund.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of youth and children with cancer,
Okay.
and that's where a lot of their focus is. So
Gotcha. Okay, that's pretty
yeah.
cool. I know we kind of touched on it earlier with the expansion and stuff, but what's your ultimate goal like with expanding? Like, where would you want gyms all over the world, or do you want them in like centralized areas? Like, what's your take on that?
I'm open. If people call me and they want to develop 110 fitnesses, I'm willing to develop them anywhere and everywhere. They're needed. I mean, people with Parkinson's everywhere. UK, Australia,
Mhm.
Germany. I mean, the disease is not a United States of America disease. It's everywhere. And so, the more the merrier at this point. If we could collaborate with maybe one of the large foundations and start to implement that way and maybe shift that way. I'm not really sure what the sort of the catalyst is going to be. um, I'm in the process of maybe developing a foundation, so the 110 Fitness Foundation, where we would either offer scholarships to people or use our foundation as a nonprofit foundation to start opening up satellite 110 fitnesses across the country, um, just to get these programs out. Because,
Mhm.
we're working on a cure, but, what about day to day? And how are we
Right.
helping people with Parkinson's deal with their symptoms on a day to day basis to, like I said, to maximize their performance?
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's definitely like you said, one step at a time, and hopefully over the next few months or years, you can definitely grow and expand other
Yeah. Yeah.
locations for sure. But also the other thing I kind of mentioned here was you have an upcoming event that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth after you go through this event, but um, on another episode. But you're tell me a little bit more about this ride across Virginia that you have planned.
Yeah, so most people know that I do races and long distance races with people with Parkinson's. Like I mentioned before, I ran the Boston Marathon this year with somebody with Parkinson's who has multiple other medical issues. It took us 7 hours to complete 26 miles, but we finished, and that's
Hmm.
amazing for her. We, you know, I do cycling events, and I do 10 milers, and I do the Falmouth Road Race. And so I do a lot of different exercise programs because people in the Parkinson's community, in the Parkinson's world, know that I'm an industry leader and an industry expert in Parkinson's disease. And when you have Parkinson's disease and you want to be competitive in fitness events,
Hmm.
there's a lot of tweaking that occurs either in conjunction with their doctor with like medication changes or increasing or decreasing medication while you're performing in the exercise. If you're doing an Ironman, where do you put your medicine while you're riding a bike for 100 miles, right? Do you duct tape it to the frame? I mean, people with Parkinson's disease have to take medication very, very on time at the same time every day.
Okay.
They also need to watch what they eat because there's interactions with protein and different foods with medication that makes the medication less effective. So there's all these tricks of the trades that I know. And so a lot of people will ask me to do events with them. Most recently, I was approached by a woman. Her name's Teresa Jackson. She lives in Virginia. She is Miss Shenandoah Valley and also has a podcast called, I believe it's Tuesdays with Teresa, and she advocates for people with Parkinson's and high-end athletes who have Parkinson's disease. And she asked me if I would ride a bike across Virginia with her to raise awareness and education for Parkinson's disease. So she's looking at in April. We have a 4-day riding sort of route that will cover anywhere between 50 to 60 miles a day that we're going to ride all the way through Virginia. And we're going to stop in certain places and lecture and educate people on Parkinson's and, stop into areas where the mayors of those towns may be so that we can bring awareness to them about getting more advocates for Parkinson's research and funding for Parkinson's research. So we're looking for that. I just gave her a training program today. I'm not sure
Okay.
she's too happy with it. um, it's about with Parkinson's disease, we look at it's probably going to be 3.5 to 4 hours of riding straight
Hmm.
all day, every day of that journey. The only problem is we can have things that happen unexpectedly, and that's why the training is so important
Right.
because you never know when your medication might have an off time and it stops and you can't start. All of a sudden, you can't move your feet, like your legs don't work, or maybe your tremor comes back with a vengeance, or maybe you're nauseous. So there's all these things that happens, but as it stands right now, we're looking at biking across Virginia for 4 days in April. Teresa's looking at raising $25,000 for the Parkinson's Foundation, and spreading her awareness. And she also wrote a book like myself, so the two of us also are going to be talking about our books and our life journeys and sort of how we got there. So we're looking forward to it. We've got a big media force that's going to be filming and documenting it, and we have I believe we have a special forces military bike group that is going to be in front and behind for safety purposes, sort of guiding
Okay.
us through the roads of Virginia. So it's an exciting event. It's
Yeah, it
another
sounds
event
like it.
that we're going to do, and Teresa's very excited.
Heck, I'm excited. Is this going to be like live streamed at all, or is it going to be like recorded and then posted on later?
Yeah, we're looking at doing some live stream capabilities while we're on the road, and then also putting together like a small documentary that'll be
Hmm.
uh, post ride. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
definitely excited, especially because if the plan is to have you back on after this for a second episode to hear about all of this and hear about all the new advancements and changes and adjustments with 110 Fitness and hopefully your book and see how well that's doing as well.
Yeah, and maybe Teresa can make an appearance as well. I'm sure
Yeah,
she'd
that'd be
love
awesome.
to be a guest and talk about her her logo is the word air, so it says AIR, and that's the shirts and things that she's going to be making with her sponsorship that she gets, and that stands for Again I Rise.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty
So,
awesome. Yeah, I would love to have both of you guys on at the same time to talk about the journey and how the event was.
yeah, yeah, we're excited. Fingers crossed the weather cooperates and we
Yeah.
have a successful ride.
Right. And you said it's planned in what, April potentially, I think.
Yeah, it'll be I believe that weekend of the 22nd in April. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
like
I think the 21st to like the 24th. So the Thursday to the Sunday.
okay. Yeah, you just never know what kind of weather you're going to get in April, especially in Virginia.
Yeah, you got to drive on. Rain or shine.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It'll
sir.
be snowing hopefully.
Right, right. Yeah, man. But any last comments on like the future of 110 Fitness or this upcoming event or anything else you would like to say before we close out
No,
the episode?
you had some really great questions, and I appreciate your time. And again, it's an honor to be on your podcast. And if you're in the struggle out there, reach out. No matter what, there's commonality in the struggle. Whether you're a veteran with PTSD or you're somebody who's struggling with cancer or Parkinson's disease or MS or concussions, there's commonalities to that struggle, and reaching out to somebody is the best thing that you can ever do. Is just to ask for help. It's the hardest thing to do,
Hmm.
but what a difference. And I always tell all our folks here at 110 Fitness, don't be a dum dum like me and wait 42 years to ask for help. you know
It makes
um,
sense.
pe- People are very, very obliged and very grateful when you ask them for help, and they're willing to help. Uh, you know, if you're lost out there and you don't know what to do, I always tell you, go help somebody, and you'll find out where you need to go and what your direction might be, and how you can use your gifts to service other folks.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, man. What a conversation that we just had. It's been about 57 minutes. Can't believe it. An hour, almost an hour went by for sure. But
But
it's time to wrap this thing up. But definitely want to take the time out to thank you for coming on to the show and being a great first guest of 2022, man. Thank you.
thank you very much. It was
Of course,
awesome.
man. We definitely want to thank everybody who did come on and check us out live and who checks us out later on YouTube. But Brett, where can we find you at, man? Where can we find you in 110 Fitness? Plug websites, social media, whatever you want.
Sure, yeah. So our website, 110fitness.org. And again, my email, B as in boy, Miller at 110fitness.org. Our Facebook page is 110 Fitness. And our Instagram account is at 110fitnessma for Massachusetts. And reach out if you have questions or somebody who needs help. Feel free just to reach out to us. We're happy to help and offer you resources. We do work with people all over the globe, whether it's through research or through Parkinson's wellness. And so wherever you are in the country, I probably know somebody that can help you. So
Cool. And of course, everybody can check me out at Mr. Never Chillin underscore on Twitter. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. You want a game party up on there? I'm Vic Brubacher on Facebook. Questions, concerns, or you want to come on the show, or even want to get in connection with Brett through me, hit me up there. And of course, be sure to check out our gaming podcast, Press Start Podcast, every Sunday at 7 p.m. We are live. If not, check it out later in the week on our YouTube channel. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.